Anakin the first.
Yo, so today's my first day back making beats after the Christmas break, and I'm just looking to make something that I enjoy by the end of it. I've got no brief, there's no set goal for this, so this is just me trying to dust off the cobwebs and get back into action again. Like I said, I've got no idea where I'm going to start. I haven't got a tempo, I haven't got a direction or an artist in mind or anything. I just want to get my hands dirty and get stuck into something, so let's go. So the first thing I'm looking to do is get the melody and get a bit of an idea. Like, if anything, I'm going to write something slower than the sort of tempo range I reckon I'll work in. The reason is because I want to commit the sample at some point and then speed it up, because by speeding it up you get these different artifacts that sort of add to the feeling of something being a sample. I'm just going to have a look around. This is Haze, produced by Haze. Makes some really good packs for Analog Lab. So I quite like that, but I'm going to just get it in now. As well, you'll notice that I haven't even hit record or anything, but I'm going to use this feature up there, which is the capture feature in Ableton. So it kind of is always recording, and it's up to you to hit that every now and then. Most times it works, sometimes it kind of screws you up, but even then it's fixable. So then hit capture, and it should have read the tempo and yeah, so I'm going to just adjust that to 162, and then I'm also going to, half of 162 would be 81 or something, way too slow, I don't know, but I'm still going to pull that back. Yeah, so by going half the speed of what it thought it was and then hitting that little button there, the divide button, when I've got the MIDI selected, then pulls everything in time. And now I'm going to purposefully pitch it up because, as like I say, later down the line I'm going to want to mess with the audio a bit. So it's all stuff I'm doing consciously for a reason, and you'll see why later in the video. And it's something I do a lot, so it'll probably be something I do in a lot of videos. So now I'll freeze that. I like to freeze stuff, I like to just commit it in my mind, so I'm not chasing it around and being tempted to go back in and mess with it later on. And then I'm going to keep that same channel up, literally delete the MIDI and forget it ever existed. And then keep that audio there as it is, and then put some sort of layer to it to make the part more interesting. That was pretty cool. So then I'm going to freeze that again, commit that to audio, unfreeze that channel. So now I've got these two, I'm just going to move, in fact get rid of that, I don't need it. So then what I want to do with these two is just start by just pitching them around a bit. There's a few ways to do it, I turn the warp mode off and I'll pitch it down, and it'll change it like that. I hit Command J and that'll consolidate those, so that makes that effectively a new file. So then now if I hit Shift, because the warp's back on, if I hit Shift and pull it back to where it was, it's just got a different texture. And regardless of anything else, in the end, when it gets time to bring the 808 in, that is going to dictate where the pitch is going to work, because I need the 808 to be hitting right, more so than I need the pitch to be wherever. The 808 is the important bit for me. That's it's simple, but I'll layer up to that later. But I do want to add a bit of a mood to this, so I'm going to quickly group those two channels and just throw on some creative plugins. I've got a little selection on here. There's a few things I like to use. Sketch Cassette is a classic for just getting some different tonal stuff going on. Even try a little bit of Portal. Every time I load Portal on and I think, right, well, let's find something in here, I always tend to like the default preset. That's almost what I'm opening Portal for. It's just a little bit of movement. I need to explore the plugin more though. And then I just feel even another texture type plugin, like RC20, just to give it a bit of noise or something. So now we're at that point. I just want to see if my brain wants to take it somewhere else. So I'm going to fire it up to like maybe 130. I don't know. I quite like it, and I quite like the idea of doing it, so I'm just going to kind of go there for a minute. So now I'm going to get some drums in, but I'm going to use all the drums from my fundamental drum folder, but this is going to become more like a fundamental everything folder. And anyone who joins my Discord via the link in the bio, you'll have access to this folder, and I'll literally be adding to it over the years. So these are sounds that, you know, if I go through the sounds, some of them are quite samey because this is like my fundamentals to how I like to get my stuff to sound. So if you kind of like the vibe of my beats and stuff and how they hit and the sound selection stuff, I'm going to make these available to everyone who joins, becomes a member on my Discord. So let's have a look. I'm going to start with probably a clap. So I'm going to keep it simple. I might do a bit of a stuttered hi-hat thing, which I think always sounds good on these slower beats rather than just the straight hi-hat. So something else that's pretty good to do on hi-hats just to get a bit of movement is, if you're using Ableton Simpler, obviously flick it to 1 or whatever, but it's fine. It wasn't sounding bad, so who cares? But if you go to controls, down here there's a random pan thing, and I like to give it a little bit of a boost, so then you get a bit of like panning going on, and it's just random which hit goes where, so it's kind of just takes the pressure off like having to program it, and it just kind of does what you want it to do anyway. Might get a lighter hi-hat in just underneath, just add a straight 8th note hi-hat, and use something like Effectrix to just kind of trigger some little details. And by putting them quite low in the mix, it just kind of gives a little flavour going on in the background. It's something I always like to do. Some sort of rim to like add a little more bounce. So now I'm going to try and find an 808. Like, my 808 folder's actually got so many good 808s in now. Like I say, a lot of these are to my taste, so some of them are going to be a bit samey, but I'm really like into the selection I've got. So straight away, that 808 is too high for my taste, and it's too low there, so I need to maybe pitch it up. I'm going to pitch it up 4. Right, so I'm going to record the 808 in now. Alright, so it's coming together now. I think it just needs some details. Yeah, I feel like an open hi-hat, like anything too bright will be too much, but I've got this sort of like subdued one which I really like, so I'm going to get that in. I think the placement of that gives it like a different kind of bounce because it's not just on the offbeat and it's not repeating itself, it's kind of like a bit more of a part in itself. I want the option of a kick drum for certain parts in the track. It might not be something that when I arrange it in a minute is there the whole time. So that's like the fundamentals of the entire beat there already. I think the melody's too loud, and I also kind of want it to pump and have a little bit more movement. I think I'm going to add a kickstart 2, because with this you can sidechain now. So if you hit audio and you select your sidechain, and I pick my kick channel, then now every time that kick hits, it'll trigger this shape to kick in. So we get that dip, which is not something that I like to do on every beat. Now I'm going to give the 808 a little bit more of a clipped feel. I'm just going to use Ableton's inbuilt saturator, set it to clip mode, and then I'm going to use the gain on the sampler to determine how hard it's hitting the clipper. And also, I like to compress my 808s now, which is not something that I used to do a lot. But I feel like this also helps just tie it all together and gives a consistency. I might even EQ, put a bit of Pro Q 3. Leave a bit of bottom end space, but then bring a bit back here, so we don't lose the impact. A lot of people think EQing out of the low end on a kick drum is crazy, but when you've got the 808 there, and this is still a low frequency, like if you listen to that soloed, I'm actually going to pitch the kick drum up a bit to help it fit a little bit better. It'll lose a bit of that bottom end, but it's not. That's not really what I'm after here. It's more like just to add an impact for later in the structure. I like to drop the music down just before the beat actually kicks in, and then like do like a reverse maybe even there. You can't really tell on that sample what the reverse is, so maybe I'll like stretch that. Then if we kick in without the kick drum, I'm going to put a bit of saturation on the master as well. A bit of clipping just to catch everything. The kick drum's just popping a little bit too much. I feel like this main sound needs a little bit of EQ to soften it a touch. I like a little bit of an impact on the drop. I think I've got one in here actually in my effects. Something like that is perfect to me. I feel like this is more or less where I want the beat to be at, so let's give it a listen. So that's it, first beat of 2023 done. I like the vibe that came out in the end. It was fun to kind of like do the whole change in tempo, starting in a different place and seeing where I can take it. I always find that to be inspiring, and like it changes my mindset as I'm creating, because there's something about being forced to make things work as well. Like there's nothing crazy about that melody by any means. Like that's quite a basic melody, but and I could have layered vocals, I could have layered all sorts, but I just wanted to go with something really simple, like, because when you actually stop and listen to a lot of the big tracks, like they are so stripped back, and sometimes that's not the vibe, but I like to try and like practice that, because then you're leaving a lot of space for the artist to work with. So yeah, I'm going to be making this much more of a regular thing. I'm going to be doing stuff that's a little bit more educational maybe. I'm going to be doing vlogs of when I'm out in sessions. I'm going to really try and bring a lot of content to YouTube this year. So if you like the video, definitely like and subscribe, and there will be more. And join my Discord if you want exclusive things, like all these samples I'm just going to keep in a folder on there that you'll have constant access to, and I'll add to it when I find new sounds that I like, and new drums and new one shots and all sorts of stuff. So there's something there from the get-go that you can get your hands on and actually start using. So yeah, I'll see you in the next video.